Hello, this is Greg Allison, the Green Race, coming to you on the 23rd of November, 2020. And despite the holidays coming up and people getting ready, things cooking are plenty, but they're not all cooking well. Some things are cooking it could send us to, and well, not so well. The question is the United States in concert with Israel, or Israel in concert with the United States, about to attack Iran? Are the Iranians about to get a hit? Well, things are cooking, sure enough. And in fact, the United States has just sent its B-52H Stratofortresses, you know, the big B-52 bomber, the old jet that's older than I, but it still does fly, to the nation of Qatar. Well, okay, I gotta say this. In the language of the people there, the consonants in that word, none of them are the way we pronounce consonants in English. I got a friend, the guy who keeps bees on my place is actually from there. So maybe I pronounce it a little better than a lot of the people in the news media, maybe. You don't swear to it though. It's my redneck version, okay? So bear with me on that. But let me show you where this is at. Before I do that, I do want to mention something real quick, and we're going to talk about this, and I'm going to be quick with this video when we get over it. But guess what? Right now, we've got $100 off of a special with My Patriot Supply, and it's not coming from my computer, so I'm just going to show you. There's a countdown clock, tick, 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 and what this countdown clock is doing is there's still $100 off, but this base price right here, yow, is at risk, I fear. The 197 is probably going to go up. It'll still be $100 off when it goes up, according to my understanding. But the base price is set to go up. So check it out real fast. Go to My Patriot Supply. You get that's a 4-week supply of food for one person for right now with $100 off. You can get it for $197. But that is ticking down. They're going to end that. Well, I kept warning everybody that hey, the prices are going up. You can expect a lot of food prices to inflate, and they're not immune to that. Well, go figure, right? Get it now. Get it while the getting's good. It's good food. It's not MREs. It's freeze-dried food, but it makes regular food. 2,000 calories a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Get it, and you'll be a winner. All right, enough of that. Let me show you something. Bang, 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 bing, 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 bing. Where are you going to go to? Guitar. All right, I'm having trouble trying to say that. Oh, people just call it cutter. Oh, that's not what I want to go to. What happened here? Where's my map at? Bing. Here we are. Here's Iran. Here's Tehran. They're going down here. Now, normally, when we B-52s are long-range bombers, they can really cover ground. I mean, normally we fly them over the Mideast when we take them down here into the Dagos Garcia Island, which don't even show up unless I scroll in here. So small. That's where we normally base them out of. So the fact that we're putting them right here, my friends, is really a message. This is a message to Iran. Now, supposing this message is for some unspecified risk, some unspecified threat from Iran. So really an unspecified threat, but we're moving it really close. That means they can fly with a moment's notice from there and do all kind of stuff over here. As you well know, there's been reports coming out recently just saying, hey, in fact, you know, Iran can close this Gulf of Hormuz, which would put all these guys at risk because they couldn't deliver their oil. So there is a lot of tension over here, and it is ratcheting up. And part of it is because Israel is afraid that they're going to lose ground and not be able to have the upper hand once the Biden administration takes office. If they should take office, there is still lawsuits and other things pending. The Electoral College has not voted yet, and not all the elections have been certified. And there's lawsuits on the table. So, you know, whatever you think the chances are, the odds, you know, that's immaterial to this discussion. What I'm telling you is the Israelites, the nation of Israel, the nation of Israel has deemed, or seems to have deemed, that maybe they need to do something while the time is on their favor. Now, hey, I could be wrong. I'm just telling you that. Okay, so let's unpack it a little bit. Let me go out of this share here. Bam. So you could take, you know, just on surface what the U.S. says about going over there, And it's much more innocuous other than that language of unspecified threat that they actually stated. But one of the things said by the U.S. commanders, we had this General Greg Guilliot, I mean, harder to say than Qatar. Guilliot, G-U-I-L-L-O-T, okay? Greg, Lieutenant General Greg Guilliot. Yeah, Greg part's hard for me to say, right? Okay, so he said, the ability the ability to quickly move forces into and out of and around the theater to seize, retain, and exploit the initiative is key to deterring potential aggression. He is the commander of the 9th Air Force, okay? He also went on to say, these missions help the bomber crews to gain familiarity with the region's airspace and command and control functions, allow them to integrate with the theater's U.S. and partner air assets, increasing their combined forces' overall readiness. And yeah, he wants these guys to be ready, and well trained for something that might be imminent, it seems, or maybe they're going to do something. As I reported recently, one of my recent videos, I said, hey, President Trump was supposedly considering a strike. And a lot of you may not remember, that was in one of my reports that President Trump had considered and pondered a strike. And supposedly some of there's conflicting reports come out of that meeting. Some say that he had to be talked out of it, and some came out saying, no, he didn't have to be talked out of it. They just kind of told him about it, and he said, oh, okay. So supposedly it just, it wasn't going to work out too well for us to do that. Now, here's something else. If you're going to strike somebody, you want to kind of go over and beyond to tell them, well, we decided we're not going to do that. And then you sneak something in the position and just, oh, well, he already said he wasn't going to do it. Maybe they just won't be quite as anticipatory of what you might do. So if it is a fact that we were planning to hit them, you think we'd tell them? I mean, what's the first rule of a sneak attack, of a surprise attack? It's to keep the surprise. You don't go out and go, hey, we're going to hit you. That's this don't fly. So unlike the B-52H Stratofortress, yeah, the Superfortress is the B-29. Yeah. So, this is a risky situation because I'll tell you guys about the risk to our power grid as a result of that right when we finish this. So let me unpack this just a little bit more. All this comes on the heels of what I was talking about in a previous video just 4 days ago. I did this video talking about Israel striking these positions in Syria. Israel struck 8 positions in Syria. And it took out, a number of civilians, 6, and some Syrian troops, and unspecified number of Iranian troops. But we also hit one of their positions, one of the most advisory role positions at the Damascus Airport, Damascus International Airport. So that's pretty bold hitting at the Damascus International Airport, kind of like the strike on Soleimani at the Baghdad International Airport. And some people are now saying that was actually an Israeli operation, and we took the blame as cover. Hey, I don't know. You hear all kind of things floating around out there, all kind of things put out there. Don't mean they're true, but that's what was stated in the article I read. But checking all these articles out, it's like wheat and chaff. You got to see what fits together. Sometimes things don't fit together because you get a lot of counterclaims. So it's always best to be skeptical and to check a lot of sources out for these things. I try to do that as best as I can. Now, all that said, the Israel struck them, and the reason they struck them, they claimed that there were improvised explosive devices placed in the Golan Heights. And so in response to somebody trying to bomb them in the Golan Heights, of course, these weren't set off. I don't know if they were activated. And in fact, what's the proof that they were really put there by Iranians? Maybe they were. Maybe it's a false flag. I don't know. But here's the thing. Some think that Israel is chomping at the bit to create a false flag situation or do something to get an escalation going. And that, in fact, these attacks in Syria were intended to goad Iran into hitting Israel because Iran just is looking for an excuse. Well, not to be disappointed, Iran vowed that they would in fact, retaliate. They said that, they will strike back if Israel keeps doing this. They said, if Israel does this again, we're going to hit you back. And in fact, what they said is this. They said, Israelis' attempts to hit its advisory role in Syria would prompt them to strike back, to crush, with a crushing blow. They would put a crushing blow on Israel. Well, okay, and of course they said it's their advisory role. Well, we know it's probably a little bit more than just advisory. But I don't know, it kind of reminds me of of two kids in the schoolyard, and one punches the other in the nose, and he blows his nose, and got a kid with a bleeding nose, stay back. You do that again, I'm going to hit you. And he's backing off. I don't know, it's kind of a strange kind of response. But then again, maybe they're being smart because they realize they're being goaded, but they also realize they can't keep taking it. If you just keep getting hit, and Israel's hit their forces several times in Syria, and got in, done it over and over and over and over and over again with little retaliation against that. You got to admit, Iran's got a big military, but Iran's also got a lot of issues. They got a very powerful military. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard is nothing to be trifled with. It's far more than what the Iraqis had. And if we go into it with them, we can expect a lot of trouble. It's not going to be a clean little operation like we had with the Iraqis if we should go in there. And I'm not advocating going in there at all. I think we need to get the heck out of there. Let Israel and these other countries handle it themselves. Israel has big boy toys, we're told. And unfortunately, so does Iran, it seems. And now I'm hearing from other sources. Remember, I have told you on this channel for some time that I had a source years ago tell me that Iran had two old Soviet ICBMs fully integrated with the warheads, nuclear warheads and all, when Kazakhstan, they got it from Kazakhstan when the Soviet Union broke apart. And then shortly after they grabbed it, the nukes were pulled out of Kazakhstan, maybe because of that. They realized that they weren't that well controlled. And so they were taken out. Something had already got out the door. Now, you don't hear that much, but I just heard guy on Israeli News Live, Ben, talk about that a little bit. Steve, excuse me, whatever his name is, I'm forgetting right now. Stephen Ben-Noon, yeah, Stephen Ben-Noon. He made that allegation recently that that he knew of his intel sources were telling him the same thing. Well, I've heard this long ago, years ago, right after the wall fell. I mean, I heard it almost immediately, but I hadn't heard repeated stories about it. So I find that interesting, but it also ties into what I'm concerned about with the EMP and the vision held by Stacy Savicki, because all this stuff is mounting up. It may be that we're about to go in there and do something. Why are we putting the B-52s there? Even if we don't have plans to do something, if Iran makes good on their promise to retaliate and we're there, something can happen. Or there's just all kind of opportunity for miscalculation, misreading, and things to escalate. We're all there standing toe to toe almost, and things can go bad fast, especially when you got some of the players like Israel who actually may want this. He's just chomping at the bit for it. According to the many interpretations of the writings of a letter by a general, Albert Pike, to USB Mazzini in Israel, if you know what I'm talking about, and Italy, if you know what I'm talking about, written back in the 1800s, that outlined supposedly, allegedly, 3 WW, X, XX, and triple X. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Well, according to all that, what would go down in the first two has happened. And the third one was to be setting up the nation of Israel to create tensions to bring about a world war. And if that's the case, they're doing a job that they're intended to do. If that's the case, I'm not saying it is, but I have my, because, like I said, you can't say certain things, if you know what I mean. But it's highly suspicious, to say the least. But hey, this is live action role play. This is all just for entertainment. Yeah. So, wow. They are, of course, they're in the position they're in, and supposedly Iran has told them, hey, we're going to wipe you off the map, and they're over developing nukes. So in a way, you can kind of not you can see it from that perspective. But why we got to be in this? Why we got to be there? Well, the Israelis just don't feel the confidence to reach out that far because Iran's a little too far from them to get with their jets without refueling or some other backup support. That's just right at the edge of their reach. They'd have a hard time making good hits in there, and they would get retaliation. So that's what it's all about. Now, will it really happen? Will it really go down? Because, as I mentioned, they've got elections in Israel, and it might not bode well on them, on Netanyahu, if missiles are coming in on the heads of the Israelis while he's trying to be reelected. They may not feel too popular with him at that point in time. So what else going on here? I mean, it's really cutting. There's forces and counter forces going in different directions about this. But why you need to be concerned about it is this: we have the military doctrine, written doctrine of the Iranian armed forces, the Revolutionary Guard, is that if they get in a war with the United States, that they will EMP us. They will do something to attack our grid. At EMP, they have to have nukes. But they said it'd take out our grid. Well, they don't have nukes unless they got them from elsewhere, unless they're further ahead in enrichment than we thought. They may have gotten them from elsewhere. What I always heard was 2. I'm going to come back to that. Now, somebody told the head of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard at one point that, hey, the literature says, and it's in the literature and it's been spoken, I'm not saying anything that everybody that is interested in this don't already know full well. Supposedly, there are 9 critical substations in this country, if taken down, will take down our entire grid. We're talking about essentially destroying the United States of America. There's no easy recovery. See my videos on that. I'm not going to go into detail to it right now, but this would be catastrophic for America. That's too easily done. That's why I harp on protecting our power grid. Now, having said that, the response that he gave back to the person who said, 9, I've already got 20 targeted. We've got sleeper cells ready to go for 20 of these. That's what he said. Now, as you may be aware, I did a video some months ago with Miss Stacy Zavicki on the Sustainable Stewards channel, and she had a vision, a prophecy, and Jesus took her through this prophecy, and she saw it, and she was a lady who worked in a dairy, didn't know anything, never heard of an EMP. She called me and, Greg, she saw my videos. Greg, what is this? I said, you saw what? She saw this. She saw 2 missiles being launched and detonating in outer space above the United States and generating EMPs and taking out our power grid. She had never heard of that. She didn't understand what it meant, what it was. And the curious thing, it was 2, and she saw them being launched from offshore of Venezuela. That means probably Venezuela didn't do it. Venezuela ain't got nothing to do that, but it's an unstable country. So it's more able for other countries to sneak around. And other countries are involved there. There is North Korea. There is China. There is Russia and Iran. But supposedly Iran don't have nukes. So if they did it, you got to blame who? China? North Korea? Russia? Does that prompt us to get in war with somebody else? So maybe Iran's off the hook. Hey, I don't know. Or maybe we wouldn't do anything because we don't know who did it. Who did it? Who done it? Unless we just hit in a war with Iran, maybe that would kind of tell us that, hey, they did it. Now, all they have to do is do it just like the North Koreans did on the Changchun-gang when they had 2 missile launchers set up in their missile launchers in the Changchun-gang ship floating around the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico back in 2016. That's all the heck they got to do. Same kind of thing. So this is serious. It's real. You need to think about it. They could EMP our country. They could have direct ballistic attacks, with bang bangs, taking out our substations. It could get real. It could get bad. It could get ugly. It could be catastrophic right here if we get into it with Iran. So we can't take it lightly. Not at all. Is this something we're going to do? Is it going to happen? I can't say that. But I can say she had that vision, and her time frame for that vision was this December. And here we are coming up on December, putting B-52s in Qatar right there next to Iran, and Iran's vowing to hit Israel. Israel just took out stations in Syria. It's building up. It's building up. Stacy's vision was that we can repent and avoid this. Maybe that's the first thing y'all to do: repent, pray, meditate, try to get ourselves into a different timeline with the grace of God, the greater creator. Now, all that said, a war like this would be tragic on all sides. You know, actually, Iran's got one of the most Western-loving populations in the world, in that area of the world, and actually has 1 million Christians. It's a fast-growing Christian community in Iran. It's actually growing fast, in spite of the fact that the regime persecutes them, executes them, and does all kinds of things. It's still growing. If we can not get into conflicts, give them time. It's a good chance that the Ayatollahs are on sleeper ice. Their biggest way they've secured themselves is making a drug deal with the devil, being China. Excuse me, the People's Republic of China, not the Republic of China. There's two Chinas, you know, the little China and Taiwan. They're all Chinese people. There's good people in every country, every creed, color, religion, from everywhere, including in the People's Republic of China. But the people at the top of the government, I got some issues with them. Okay. They're out making all kind of deals around the world, and one of the deals they just made was to get Tehran, the government of the capital of Iran, to sign a treaty with them, basically, and in exchange for some big loan or grant, about like $8 billion in military aid. So basically, the terms of that treaty, Iran almost belongs to China, and the young people there just don't like it. And maybe they can invalidate it when they overthrow the Ayatollahs. There's a precedence for that. So let's hope that the Ayatollahs' days are short and Iran can seek freedom. And let's hope the days of tyranny in China, or the People's Republic of China, are also short, and the people there can find their path to freedom, along with everybody else in the world. Maybe all these tensions will blow away at some point, but right now it's not there. So we can hope and pray for the best, but prep for the worst. Get ready. That's why I'm doing this video. This video is part of my series to keep your eyes wide open and head on the swivel, because this is the 2020s, my friend. This is the 2020s, and this decade it's coming at us because somebody wants to hit the big red button or hit the big reset button. You know, I just did some videos about the Great Reset. Of course, it might get out of hand. It might be not the blue button. It might be the big red button with everything launching. I guess they'd get a reset anyway, wouldn't they? All right, let's hope that don't happen. But get ready. Be prepared. This year has been a you-know-what burger, and the roller coaster ride, it seems to be getting crazier every minute. So hang in there, my friends. Hang in there. Strap in. Get ready. Prep every way you can, and take care of yourselves. So I just want to say now, thank you for watching.